I mean, it's not the...
Nice.
I don't know what's going on.
We'll get copyright strike.
What's going on? Oh, I think you're okay if you talk over it.
Yeah, true. We've,
I think if you talk over it and you don't play enough.
The Tales of the Unexpected, it sort of works for the show. You never know what you're going to get. We're sort of picking mix of podcasting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it was difficult to hear music being played from your phone down Skype, but...
Well, what I was going to play was this, because as you know, like I can, one of my superpowers when I'm not podcasting is I can travel to the future and bring back news from the future. So
Right.
you remember this one.
Last night outside of the BAFTAs, the well-known and well-loved actor, director and producer Theo X was sadly assassinated.
So
I mean, two things wrong there. Well loved.
Yeah.
And sadly.
Well, you didn't question the award, so I'm happy with one of those three.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went back to the future again a couple of days ago, a bit bored, and I brought back some good news from the BBC. As I was walking out the door, I heard this.
Okay.
And in other news, last night the disgraced former president of the United States, Donald Trump, committed suicide after suffering years of loneliness, rejection and abuse by members of his own family and society as a whole.
So there you go.
I love the robo voice. Hello.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to say whole properly no matter what I did.
Yeah. I like his new thing now is to say that, when people call him up on stupid things he said, like injecting bleach, now his thing is, I was just being sarcastic.
Yeah,
Like
just being like, well, hang on, you had a conversation. What, the whole conversation with the doctor? That was sarcasm, was it?
Yeah.
When you posited the idea, hey, maybe that's something you guys, you as scientists, should look into. Yeah, it's a really good idea. Why has no one thought of it?
You just make up whenever you're being sarcastic.
That's the thing that broke him, apparently. Like, I read, there's an article in the New York Times, and they said that
the fake and failing New York Times.
Yeah. They said that was the thing. They said after that, everyone was like, "What a fucking moron!" Like the whole world was like, "What? Are you fucking stupid?" And like, seriously,
they had another one.
Yeah, it was like this was the straw, and he went. Apparently, like he's been watching all the commentary afterwards. He does the 2-hour press briefing, and then goes and immediately watches it again, and then watches all the post match stuff, basically.
Well, of course.
And he said that he was really depressed after that, and they had to show him loads of texts of people saying, "Oh, don't worry, Donald, you're doing a good job. You're not completely retarded."
Bless him.
But they had one of those things where they zoomed in on the doctor that was to the side of the podium. Did you see it?
Fauci.
No, it was the other one who spouts a lot of his shit, but she's down to the side, and somebody
the lady,
focus their camera, and she's just sort of looking, and then she just looks away and sort of looks down at the floor as he's talking about.
You just look at her like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Yeah. You know, someone's going to do that.
The look of horror, like this, as he's saying stuff. All those people, all those actual people, intelligent people,
he's dragging us down,
going like, "What the fuck?"
And they're the ones that have sold their souls. So like they're the ones going, "Look, this might be too far."
Well, I don't know. Like Fauci's basically said that he's scared about quitting because he said, if I go, who the fuck are they going to get in there? And they're just going to give it to one of Trump's mates and a yes man. And he's scared that if
the presidency
goes,
sorry,
huh?
What is this? Sorry,
the Fauci, like the chief medical advisor, has said basically in interviews that if he goes or if he quits, people say, well, "Why haven't you quit? And why haven't you resigned? Why are you not standing up more to these bizarre claims that he's making?" And he's just like, "Because I don't really want to get fired because I'm scared about who'd replace me."
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a bullshit thing, though.
Well, he's like, you don't know who they've got waiting in the wings. No. They've got. I mean, he's actually a reasonable dude who knows who's
just a Fox News host as science.
Yeah.
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic or Hulk Hogan or someone in charge of it. I mean, genuinely.
Oh,
well, God. It'll be Jared Kushner, it'll be one of the whoever's
business schools.
Yeah, it was because there was a really interesting. It was a couple of years back. It was quite early in his presidency. I put my teeth in, and they were talking about all these different departments, and he's just putting in cronies. He's putting in idiots. So the person who's in charge of whatever, the parks and everything is all into chopping everything down and building mines instead. There's a department, I think it's the Department for Energy. It's something like that. And basically they didn't know what the department does. So it's, as well as to do with is not actually to do with things like fossil fuels or green. It's to do with monitoring nuclear. What happens with nuclear waste? What happens with nuclear bomb? Because all the particular radiation you need to make nuclear bomb. This is obviously, I'm completely muffing the science on this, but whatever the things you need to make a nuclear bomb, they keep tracks of that, and also and so this person just totally unqualified going in there yelling at them that climate change was a hoax, and they're like, yeah, that's not what this department's for.
we don't, that's not really what we do. That's not in our remit.
When you were talking about the Department of Energy, I was thinking, would he one day put in charge like the CEO of LucasAid?
Oh, it'll be something.
When we told you energy, Donald Trump.
But he's got Vince
Red Bull
McMahon.
gives you wings. Why is no one using this?
You go, no, it's not time of energy, you fucking moron.
It says it right on the can. It gives you wings, and no one's using it to fly.
Energy. What are you talking about? Just put a load of LucasAids in there.
But they've got Vince McMahon.
The Flash, he runs very fast at the speed of light, and no one's using his energy. I mean, he could first power the Eastern Seaboard.
Oh, God.
But yeah, they've got Vince McMahon to help with the economy.
Funny enough,
whenever McMahon is the man who ran
I
WWE.
remember watching the Vince McMahon. Whenever he gets these famous people on, I always think, they've aligned themselves with the devil, because he was just this billionaire, didn't give a shit. When I saw Donald Trump go on there, I thought, that's perfect, that is. But then when I saw Schwarzenegger go on there as well and did his bit, I thought, they're all sort of like that sort of billionaire type of sell your soul, I'm just a salesman type of thing.
But a lot of people are fans of WWE. They
yeah,
go
but
on
it's that when you're connected to him, and if you're that level, it means you've sold your soul to that you're going to go and start clotheslining people. You're basically a salesman.
It's pantomime, though, isn't it? It's for the
but it's a level of selling your soul.
Did Donald Trump do any wrestling then?
Yes, you're joking.
Yeah.
That's a full-on thing that kept going.
Vince McMahon, didn't he?
Yeah, he was supposed. When you see it, they go.
Oh, I'm logging off and YouTubing this right now. Goodbye, everyone.
One of them,
have a nice show.
The thing was, they were going to have a fight. It was like Fight of the Billionaires or something like that, and whoever lost had to have his head shaved. So I was thinking, okay, so who's going to lose this fight? Like, it was bollocks.
Oh, that is gold. I didn't know this was
you
a
can
real...
watch it. They hold him to shave his head up.
Well, because he famously edited the clip, so he was sort of attacking CNN because they put CNN over their head.
Why?
And so because Donald Trump was dominating the libs and beating up CNN, so like he was just that clip went around. So
Andrew's mouth is literally hanging open while he's looking up.
because I have seen it's just also because I have seen that. I assume that was a body double of Trump.
No, I think that is Trump doing that. Yeah.
This is the best day of my life.
To be fair, he's a big guy. He's a big guy. He's like 6'1", 6'2", or something. Yeah. And he's quite, big.
Yeah.
He's quite big, quite broad,
But he did the old Hulk Hogan thing when he's in his late. The sort of everyone had to run around him to make it look like there was action going on in the ring. I'll sort of hit you in the face and you lot jump around like gymnastics.
Like wasps to a piece of cake, just like lying there, just like.
Oh my god, this
actually,
is amazing.
I could see Charles. You're the sort. I could see you as the sort of hacksaw Jim Duggan of the podcast.
I was thinking more Mick. I was thinking more Mick Foley.
Oh no!
Giant haystacks. Come on.
Now, have you got a 2x4 that you can sort of?
Yeah, Big Daddy. Do the shoulder, do the tummy bump thing. Go boom. Yeah.
What's wrong with Mick Foley? He ended up running the WWE
the
for a while.
freak thing, the animal.
Oh no, it was Monster, wasn't he?
No, he looked like a wonky. He had that leather patch across his eye and all that, wasn't he?
No.
Who's Mick Foley then? Who's the one who used to bite? He used to bite, didn't he?
No, Mick Foley didn't bite. He was the one who lost his ear.
No, I don't ring a bell. I thought he was the animal or something like that. He used to come in with like one shoulder hunched down.
I think one of his personas was to be...
Oh, they changed personas, didn't they? They changed up. Okay.
Yeah, the only time I was like, what? Was when The Undertaker became the American Badass, and you were like, this is literally not the same thing. I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Hulk Hogan did a heel turn, didn't he? So,
yeah, that was shameful.
Yeah, but I mean, but the Undertaker changed his whole look. He went from the guy who came in with the gong, and all that kind of stuff, coming in, and then he came. Then it was Limp Bizkit, keep rolling. What? Can't believe I know that. And riding in on a Harley Davidson, and you were like, "What is this? Is not the same." And dressed like a sort of redneck,
was that maybe mid 2000s?
I think it might have been. It might have been.
Was it maybe post 9/11, kind of like Iraq War?
Yeah,
America!
Yeah, Harley Davidson
riding in the flag. Yeah.
Have you ever seen John Cena announcing Osama bin Laden's death on WWE?
No, I have not, but I bet it's worth
incredible because, I mean, I'll tell you now, but do also watch it. It's because you're like, what is he even saying here? He says, we have compromised to a permanent capacity, Osama bin Laden. And you're like, compromised to a permanent but it's that American way of saying, well, I won't say one word when 47 will do. So it's just we have
a poster. It's just a poster. He explained the poster.
I mean, I know I appreciate, obviously, because many children watch the show and whatnot, particularly, in the audience and at home. You can't be like, well, SEAL Team 6 went in there and they kicked down the door and they fucked him up and they shot him right in the face and his sons too. America, fuck it.
And his wife,
we defeated Osama bin Laden. We have eliminated Osama bin Laden, but we have compromised to a permanent capacity. It's something like that. You
Computer
I don't
game
even
words.
know what that means.
No.
A friend of mine was into WWE, and he was. I said to him, because I hadn't seen it since like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, and he was showing me the video and telling me all the characters, and he said there was one like some Sheik something, not the the Sheik thing, like a new guy, and he showed me the video, and in the ring he was. Like Hulk Hogan comes to run in to save this guy, but this it must be Iranian or something like that. He's got a bloke's head, and he's beheading, like with his finger, holding his head up to sort of behead him. And
there was the Ayatollah, wasn't there?
Yeah, something like that. It might be in that. And at one point, he's got him in as like some sort of weird armbar thing, but he holds his head up and pretends to, like, with his finger, cut his throat. And I thought, fucking hell, this is like on like mainstream TV.
That's poor taste, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Hulk Hogan comes in with the dun 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 dun, and then I think, oh crap! But I just
Rock, flag, and eagle.
Yeah. But how can you fucking show that? Like, they're gonna show that in the future. Like, but this is what was on mainstream kids TV, like fake beheading.
To be fair, though, those crowds, I mean, if ever there was going to be a bottom of the barrel hick crowd, right? You're going to find it in fucking wrestling, yeah?
I will not hear you besmirch the good name of WWE.
Have you seen there's a Netflix documentary about female wrestlers of the 80s? Have you seen it? It's called like
Isn't that a drama? Glow.
Oh, is that? No, it's not that.
There is a TV show called Glow, isn't it?
There's a drama or something, I think, called Glow.
Hang on, it wasn't on Netflix. It was on, I think it was the BBC, and it was called Glitz and something else, and it was about like female wrestlers in like the 80s when they were like in pubs, it's that sort of level. And like the one woman there, she said somebody stabbed her with a needle when she was walking in. Another old lady had thrown a glass at her face, like she thought she was a baddie. Just like, but in a pub environment, like that's how she started. But she looked like Giant Haystacks, but a female version. But I think it was on the BBC
Very
somewhere.
flattering.
Yeah, and
But,
and at the 80s. Oh god.
Kind of woman you wouldn't want to fuck with.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to get in the ring with that. No way, man. Fucking hell.
So we were talking about billionaires. Can I bring up another billionaire? Have you heard about the first space tourist? SpaceX.
That was a while ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, so Yasuka Maezawa. It's a recent thing. It's not. So this is the guy that is going up. I know they've been talking about it.
Hasn't there been one before? I swear some Russian guy or something
I don't think so.
Up.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at what I saw recently. But anyway, so this guy Yasuka Maezawa he's apparently worth about $3 billion. He owns a company called Zozo online retail. 44-year-old. But they're sending him up, so that they've been doing some promotional stuff with him. And who owns SpaceX? The Google guy or whatever.
Elon Musk. Well, you say own. I mean, it is partly he's massively funded by the American government, but in subsidies. Nice. But yeah, he's the owner. Yeah.
I wonder if everybody's still going to work at NASA, or like with coronavirus and that. Would that be essential?
There'll be stuff that they can do from
and go home, and the people on the International Space Station go hello.
Well, because NASA do a lot of as much. Again, it's one of these things that I think we were talking about. Were we talking about the energy thing before we went live? I can't remember. Trump appointing whoever, but NASA don't just send rockets into. So they do a lot to do with, for example, weather. They do with things to do with monitoring climate change, which is sort of why. Yeah, but it's all it's kind of that, but it's not just. Let's send rockets to the Mars,
All right, so this guy, they're sending him up. I should have looked up. Oh no, yeah, they're looking. It says 2023 is the projected date. So yeah, he's made. but the guy, I just felt sorry for him. So he's 44. He's one of those billionaires that's done everything. Like he's played in a band and he's done a fashion retail thing and he sells art. But he's 44, worth $3 billion. And he was doing things like he'd offered £725,000 worth of money to be shared for people that retweet his tweets. Like he's got that sort of Trumpy thing going on of like, let me pay you to do stuff for me. Anyway, so he's looking for a girlfriend. This Japanese fella. He's looking for a girlfriend to go there with him, and he's going to pay for her. Which I thought, okay, it's a little bit.
How's he got like $2 billion and not have a girlfriend?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So he was dating. I looked her up. I can't pronounce her name. But she broke up with him anyway, and so he's looking for another girlfriend. So he put a tweet: "Want to be the first woman to travel with me to the moon." And as I said, he had like nearly £1 million to pay up to 100 people to share the tweet for him. So it's already pretty pathetic. So on his website, it actually says this, right? So this makes me happy that the billionaire lunatic doesn't mean don't. Again, I'm not anybody that's a billionaire. I'm automatically not a fan of because it disgusts me. The word billionaire disgusts me. Once you get to 500 million, you should be sharing that out. So any more than that, you're actually like there's something wrong with you.
I think you have to really fuck people over. You've got to fuck people over to make a little bit of money.
And you've got to be, you can't stop. You can't stop yourself. So you're almost like it's a weakness. It's a sickness in you, really, that to gain money, I can't stop. You've got 1 billion, but you've got another couple of billion just sat there. What could that solve today? Well, I don't care. I just want to pass some more zeros on my account. It means nothing. It's not going to go anywhere, but I just want to collect it. So anyway,
it's like a score to a lot of people, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
but
a lot of these guys, it's literally like a point score or whatever. You know.
But I see the money as schools and food and housing and so when you pile all that up and go, no, I'm just going to keep it, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to rot and die. No, I'm just keeping it anyway. But anyway,
well, that's why. Sorry.
So he's a billionaire, and on his website, he's put, quote, "As feelings of loneliness and emptiness slowly begin to surge upon me, there's one thing that I think about: continuing to love a woman." End quote. So that cheered me.
That's like some whiny, 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
That's some incel shit. I mean, he sounds like a fucking incel, basically.
But I just thought, it's just that it's like the money. It doesn't fill the holes inside you. Sort of the Trump thing again. Doesn't matter how much power you get, you still look in the mirror and see this dishevelled little weak child. So that's the only little. That's the good news. That's some good news.
The good news is that a billionaire somewhere is
miserable and pathetic.
There was
and doing it online. Oh, just no
shame. Yeah,
no shame of like what you look like.
But there was. I went to an exhibition at the British Museum years ago. Well, a couple of years ago, I think it was. It was called Ashurbanipal, who was the king of Assyria, and at its height, the empire. This is going back thousands of years, and his title was King of Assyria, King of the World, and all his things were about. All these monuments to all his great victories, everything like that. And then they're not quite sure what happened to him. So either he died in exile or was assassinated. They're not entirely sure. But one of the last things he left was one of the last things with his name on was essentially this tiny stone slab saying that he hoped Theo's being attacked by a bee, I think.
Yeah.
For our listeners only, Theo was just randomly flapping about.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have probably referenced what
it was just like either that or it's just like, fucking hell, if he talks about history one more time. It's miming.
I'd got Italian.
You're like, get on with the story, huh?
It's either that or you're breakdancing.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the last things that Ashurbanipal, or that has his name left on it, is, and they believe it's written, or something he dictated, was just the hope that people would remember him. Now that he's an old man and he's going to die soon, he just hopes people remember him. You go, oh, great, so you've gone from I'm the king of the fucking world and I slaughtered this many and I'm a god on earth to like, please don't forget me. Please don't, I want to be remembered. It was quite moving and talking of slightly
pathetic leaders that might be dying.
Okay.
I like.
Good segue. Yeah.
I like the fact that they was talking on the radio saying like he was obviously overweight. He smoked a lot. But his sort of power killed him because nobody could actually say, do you think you should lose a little bit of weight? Or do you think you should go for a run? Because he's basically, so having that sort of omnipotent power would be the thing that killed him because he wouldn't take advice from anybody about his health.
Are you talking about Big Kim, yeah?
Yeah. Which was we was going to do a podcast before I knew he was ill. We was going to do a podcast on the North Korea thing, but then we put it off because I thought, well, let's see how it plays out. But yeah.
I don't know. He might just be like quarantining and not. Who knows what the fuck's going on?
Well, they've flown in the medical staff from China, haven't they? And they said he did have problems with his heart before. So they think they said on the radio that if it was a minor problem, they would have got, if he was even sort of half there, they would have filmed something to put online to keep going. But the fact that there's nothing means he's fucking out of it. Like there's nothing we can get him to do here to sort of prop up the bullshit. So it's a bit of a good news podcast this week,
and it's all fall apart without him, really. Because it's
that's the thing. Are we spinning the plates, and is it going to land on somebody that's worse? Well, his sister's the next in line, isn't she?
Yeah,
apparently so. Yeah,
but you have to think of I try to think of women as the better sex. I put a lot of hope in women, but then I'm thinking, is it just like the Margaret Thatcher thing?
Well, I think it's. Yeah,
forget it. Just go back to normal. Yeah, no, I'm just a cunt as well.
Well, I was going to say it's like Game of Thrones. Like you get in a terrible leader who's awful, and then like you go, oh, this guy's a piece of shit, and then like you get rid of them or they die, and then the person who comes in next is even fucking worse.
Yeah,
and you're like, how is that possible?
Yeah. Well, it's the Bush-Trump leap. We've sort of gone from laughing at Bush and going, that was nothing. We replaced him with something 10 times worse.
Well, Bush's kind of retrospective ratings have slightly gone up. I mean, most presidents, broadly speaking, tend to go up anyway.
We like to reminisce.
Yeah, but I mean, Clinton's has always, apart from all the people who think he's leading a international paedophile conspiracy, Clinton's. I mean, he was fond of the young ladies. Let's put it that way. But his
name was on those Epstein logs. A lot.
Yeah, but I mean, so was everyone's.
I know.
That's a little bit.
That's not an excuse.
But that's also but that's also a bit like, well, if you had anything to do with Harvey Weinstein, you must be a rapist too. You know.
Well, no. Yeah. But I mean, if you're catching those, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is the flights to Pedo Island. Is a little bit.
The sex dungeon and that. Yeah.
I was watching something the other day, and it was going on about the history of Rome, and it brought up the senators, and it was basically describing now. It was just nothing changes. One bloke wants the power. He's bullshitting. He comes in pretending he's for the people, and somebody stabs him in the back, and the other side want him, and they get him out saying they're going to be free, but then they do the same thing, and on it goes. The same thing from robes to suits and ties. It was just the same thing. People nothing changes. It just, the rich stay the rich and the poor stay the poor. That's it. So stop fucking voting, stop talking, rallying, just doing nothing. I've got Bernie Sanders in my head. Since that, I've just given up. I'm done. As I said to you, I had a little bit of light on my face about it. And now that that's over, bollocks to all of them.
You're back in the darkness, brother.
Sorry, not what we were talking about there.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it was just amazing the way that they were reading out the speeches and of some guy that was basically wearing a wreath and in a robe. And I thought, that's nowadays. They're talking the speeches and him and honesty and for the people. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter who you vote in. They're all going to do the same fucking thing. And especially after, I mean, I had a little bit of hope with the Obama thing. I thought, right, because even though they're all politicians, he's got the weight of black history on his back here. So maybe that must sort of push him over the edge of, look, I can't waste this opportunity. No, I just did what everyone else did. Same fucking thing. More surveillance, more drones. All the bullshit goes out the window. And then Bernie thought, well, he's lived a whole life being that way. Like, I'm desperate for something to cling on to. His whole life, he's been honest and straightforward and said the same things when it wasn't popular. And then they would just crowd around and fuck him over. So I'm done with it. I'm done.
I think one of the sad things with Obama is that he went out of his way to meet the Republican Party halfway.
Yeah,
and he was trying to appease them. He's going, look, I'm going to be a centrist. I'm going to reach out to you guys, and I'm not going to be too extreme. I'm going to meet you halfway. I want to, you know, I'm a deals guy. I want to make deals. I want to meet you guys. You know, I don't want to do anything too extreme. And they still fucking hated him. Yeah, they still called him a communist, no matter how much how many concessions he made. They still fucking hated him, and they still just called him the same.
That's the Democrats' weakness. This thing of let's meet them halfway. It's like the doors open to the devil. And you're going, well, let's meet. They said, come over to the doorway. It's like what's the clown in it? Yeah, let's come over here and talk.
Hiya, Georgie.
Down here we all float.
Yeah, we lost the election, so come over here, let's talk to us. Yeah, let's put my arm around you. Come in. And you go, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
Well, I think Biden's putting his arms around far too many people.
and
just
fingers in them, apparently.
Yeah, that was hard. I couldn't believe that.
Motherfucker,
I
yeah.
didn't realise. Because this was a friend of mine, we were talking about Dustin Hoffman, because in
that's
the
a
wake of
shame,
Me
isn't
Too.
it?
Yeah, in the wake of Me Too. That because apparently at first we thought, oh, it was just, and this is gross and really not cool. But the allegations started because apparently he would do things like in stage shows. He would, in theatre. This is. He did to a co-star, I forget her name. That's not me trying to be, but that he would lift her skirt and flash her bottom to, the rest of the cast and everything like that. But then also, and we thought, oh, that's not great. But I mean, in the grand scheme of that's pretty skanky thing to do to someone. But in the grand scheme, when you've got Weinstein who's actually actively raping people, but then we looked into more of it and we were like, oh. It's a bit worse. Yeah. It's a bit worse than lifting skirts.
Well, did you hear the thing recently? I only caught the end of it. They were talking about the mum was phoned up a radio station like years ago. Have you heard about that?
The mum of who? Sorry,
Mrs. Hoffman.
No, the woman that's been accused Biden, because they're basically saying she's lying and all that sort of stuff. But then they trace back her mum had actually phoned up Larry King like years and years ago, saying about things like, what would you do if my daughter has been assaulted by a senator or whatever it was, and this thing happened, and they traced it, and it was her, like the mum, a couple of decades ago.
And what did Larry King say?
The thing was that they were saying, I just heard like 2 minutes of it. They were annoyed that nobody followed up on it, like nobody followed it up. But they traced back the template of the conversation. Definitely said it was her, and it went back to her, like where she's from. But yeah, she was apparently saying, I'll have to look it up, but she was apparently saying, yeah, like my daughter, something happened with a guy, the politicians, who this thing happened, and I don't know what to do about it. But they were saying Biden should have done, the radio show should have done something, but they didn't.
Who was that? Was that the actress?
So whoever the woman that he pushed up a wall and put his fingers inside of that one, it's her mum that called up this radio show years ago.
Yeah.
To say this guy had done this thing.
I just genuinely felt like a little bit of a kind of moment. I know that's not to be flippant. I just genuinely felt it actually made me retch a little bit.
So so that now it's another, like, they're like, oh shit, like this was like this. So this wasn't. He wasn't. They had nothing to gain here, and it was definitely the phone call that's made into this radio station from this woman, the mum, saying about this thing that had happened to her daughter. So that's another little kick. But anyway, he's gone senile. So Trump's in. I said to you, but when Bernie went out, they all vote. The Democrats put Trump back in power. So there you go. That's the shows.
It's just amazing that they managed to find someone, as I said, someone rapier, someone more senile, and more compromised, more corrupt than fucking Trump.
And it just shows the corruption
they found
on their
a shittier candidate than him, and he's a terrible, terrible candidate. And they found someone even worse.
And I hold accountable to the same degree the corruption of every person that 2 days before or a day before suddenly backed Biden. All those people that sold their bloody souls, no matter what they'd said over the last 2 years. Oh, look, suddenly I'm with Biden. Really? You haven't had any private phone calls from Democratic Party? You haven't been offered anything?
Or you haven't had phone calls from donors to your campaign for re-election in the Senate who would be victims in inverted commas of Bernie's tax reforms.
Who prefer Trump over Bernie. Yeah, when it comes to it, they would prefer Trump over Bernie.
Yeah, because they don't want to suddenly have to pay tax.
They don't want a socialist in charge, or even a democratic socialist.
Here's I mean, obviously it won't be too difficult, but comedian Kumail Nanjiani tweeted this.
What country is that from? Are you from?
He's American. He's American comedian.
He's the guy who got really hench, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's done that thing that a lot of American comedians do. They get cast in a superhero film, and suddenly they go, like Chris Pratt was very fat, and then suddenly just got like.
I've got something to say about that Star Trek, but yeah, go back.
Okay. Is this?
I thought they photoshopped his head. I saw those pictures going around. I genuinely thought they'd been photoshopped.
Yeah, sorry. It says this was tweeted April the 24th, so we're recording on the 26th. It just says he's just so stupid. He's so breathtakingly stupid
Biden.
that the above statement is all it takes for every person reading this to know exactly who I'm talking about. But it is so clever because everyone goes Trump. I'm sure if I looked at the responses to that, load of people being like, yeah, Biden, as a kind of, I mean, you thought Biden because that's what we were talking about just now, but I think if you'd read that in isolation, you would think Trump.
There's going to be two books. One will be named the biggest con man in history, and the other one will be named the most stupid president in history. They're two headings for books that I'm giving to people that will eventually be written.
And of course, the other one, the coronavirus hoax.
Yeah.
5G radiation.
I'm always make sure I never say the greatest con man. It's just the biggest, because he started off with 400 million, so that you should be able to convince anybody of anything by then. So he's not even good. He's just a con man and a bottom feeder who was at the right time in society when reality and everything was at the bottom of the barrel. So he's not at all a good con man. He's just an opportunist who doesn't. The people say, "Oh, he's a genius marketer." He's not a genius marketer. He just looks for fucking weakness, and he's been followed by other people, propped up by other people, because he had 400 million from his daddy. Take all that away, he died on the streets when he was 15. Like that, he had nothing. So he's not good at marketing. He's not. He's a bottom feeder. He's a con man. He's on autopilot, and people around him prop him up. That's all it is. He's not even.
You get the politicians you deserve.
Yeah. So talking of superheroes that suddenly become big, so I'm off Star Trek now. After that last, I'm done.
Spock's brain broke him.
To be fair, that's a bad one. That is a bad one.
Every day I think about that. Every day since it happened, I think about it. I was thinking about it 2 hours ago. I still can't get over it.
Yeah, it's a tough watch. Like even the bad ones, you're like, well, there's a kind of charm to this because the sets are so janky and wobbly.
I've let the sets go.
Yeah.
I've let the purple, green, and blue planets go. I've let the rock monster that can go through concrete quickly go, but suddenly go slow when Spock and Thing turn up.
What about? Did you have the all-powerful aliens who turned out to be illusions, and then when they died, they were little clangers who smoked and fell over?
That scared me. When they looked like Fraggle Rocks.
Yeah.
And it was wire wool with like foam round it. That scared. But I let it go. I've let his fucking acting go. I've let everything go. I even let the monkey that was white that jumped around, and there was a lizard that punched at about 0.5 miles an hour.
Oh, the very janky, slow.
The gore.
Yeah, I grow weary of the chase. That stuck with a. And who was basically a cross between a sort of sloth and a boxer. Like it moved. It was supposed to be a fight, but the lizard moved so slow that I thought, well, why don't you just walk away from him? Like,
I won't do it. I won't kill him.
Yeah. But when it got to, I thought they'd reached their sort of nadir when they got to the. He was really, really old, and he was about to die. He was so old, and the arthritis and all that.
And
there's a battle
adrenaline
going on. And then they give him an injection through his jumper, and within 5 seconds, he's run. He couldn't even made it back into the cockpit, but he'd suddenly bounced back from like near death. Like he's 90 years old, and that was within like 3 or 4 seconds. I thought, come on, don't just go. Look, we've built up this big story, and we just go, oh, bollocks to it. That's the answer. But then, when they said we've removed Spock's brain, I'm thinking about all the people that have died before, and you've just gone, well, he's dead. And now you're going, right, his brain, did you hear what I said? His brain is gone. It's over.
He got no brain.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it then. Surely, if your mate was stabbed and he's dead, and now you've got another series where his brain's gone, and you're going, it's not over. And then, well, his brain's gone.
He's got like a headband on, hasn't he?
Well, you could tell this was made in the 60s, because nowadays they'd make him president, wouldn't they?
But the thing is, so they eventually track down his brain. Oh, and it's such bollock. They track down his mind, his brain. So they're taking the brain somewhere. There's no incision in his head at all. So they take him somewhere, and of course they find a way to put his brain back in his head. The doctor doesn't know.
A child could do it.
But then they've got the thing at the end where they're laying him down, and I'm at the end of the show then, and they're laying him down and they're cutting his head open, and they've got a screen so you can't see what's going on. And I'm thinking it's not really surgical, because you've got the other guy who's sort of like watching it, and you go, well, why have you got a screen up if there's like people peering around? It's not really a medical setting if it's just in a room and everybody's looking around the back. But anyway, I'm thinking, well, they've got to head up. They're going to put a bandage around his head and he's going to be out of it. And then they're going to cut to the scene where he's on the bed slab and his vital statistics are all fine. And they talk to him. Nope. He starts to wake up. He can't talk properly. So he starts telling him, can you tweak the other nerve? And then his voice starts to come into focus. As if like there's a speech nerve that he twists and he can then speak English properly over a period
So
of...
one second. I'll be back soon.
Oh, Charles is off to take his brain out.
I think he's gone for a smoke. He's gone outside for a cigarette. But,
What was this?
Yeah, so...
Or a poo? Emergency poo?
Yeah, he's got a stomachache.
We're just going to tell the listeners that
Oh, right, yeah. Charles has disappeared from
Charles
screen.
has disappeared.
No warning.
He's gone. He's got explosive diarrhea.
Well, that's a nice little hook. We'll be back after this break and find out what happened to Charles. But anyway, so he then
I just
says,
love that you were like pointing out, like everyone, all the rest of the crew, you know, the guys in red shirts, they're getting stabbed and they're geting vaporized,
and they drop him
it's
on the
just
floor like a sack of potatoes. And then his brain is gone, and they don't know where it's gone. And they go, right, we're going to carry on looking. No, we're not looking. Are you fucking kidding me? My mate's just fucking died, and now we're looking for this arsehole. Anyway, so when they put his whole brain back in, apparently can do that, but they can't fix a bloke being stabbed. They can't fix a bloke being stabbed, but they can do brain transplants. Anyway, so they do the brain transplant, and then Spock sits up, stretches his arms out like a yawn. There's no scar on his head. It's just like brain surgery ends, sit up. The hair's perfect. So how did you do the brain surgery? What? Like, his hairstyle hasn't changed. He's got no scars. Just there, recovering from brain surgery was just to stretch his arms and stand up. But you've got to put a bandage on his head. At least
put a bandage on.
At least go, look, there's been an operation here. His hair was perfect.
They probably didn't want to mess up the wig. They were like, these wigs are expensive,
I'm
man.
Done. I thought they pushed me. I'm done. I'm not.
That is generally seen as the
That
kind
is
of
offensive.
idea
That is just
of-
like, I don't give a shit. You watch it to the end. We've done the advertising, so you can piss off. We're not bothered about the ending.
I would say that's not probably overall Trek, though. I would say in all of the franchise, and you can. I'm sure you've got an idea, Charles. But for me, the lowest moment of Trek is it's in the first series. It's one as a child you don't notice it, and then you watch it back. So they go, you know how in the original series, the ones you've been watching, it's like, oh, we go to the planet of the Nazis, or we go to the planet of the Romans or the cowboys.
Red Indians, we had that. Red Indians.
We
Who
go
were just
to
Americans with a tan.
Oh no! This is you watch this back and you're like, holy shit! And this is in the late 80s, the 90s. Charles, they go to the planet of generic Africa.
Yeah,
and
they go to
everyone's
Africa,
wearing
basically.
animal pelts.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the king of the planet wants to marry Tasha Yar, a white woman, blonde hair. So she must engage in a fight to the death with his queen. And you're like, oh my God, this is like something from the 1910s.
Oh God.
Like some science fiction of, some, this is what it's like in Africa. And they're all just like playing drums, shirtless, wearing leopard print.
It's Tintin in the Congo. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen that? Like Tintin, Tintin in the Congo.
But this is I think it's 88, 89, the first series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm sorry, what? Who
it
signed
would have
off
been bad in the 50s. You know what I mean? It would have been insensitive. Even the 50s would have gone, that's a bit.
I think Lenny Riefenstahl would have looked at that and gone, no, too much. Too much, even for me. It was the show. So that was the kind of, a lot of the cast, all of them have essentially washed their hands of it. They're like, we're ashamed of that episode. We weren't happy when it happened. And we're still ashamed of it now. 30, we can't let it go. The person who played the woman, the object of the king's lust, Tasha Yar, that was the thing that made her go, fuck this. Somehow she quit. She quit the shit. Because she was. They were...
the thing I was going to talk about when we was talking about people putting on muscle. So I noticed in a few of the episodes when Kirk would go down to a planet, they started leaving in charge the engineer Scotty.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking he must have had a conversation with his agent or something. He said, look, we've got to make you more of a leading man. Because in the next episode, his hair's completely changed to a stand-up thing. And he's got a dark tan. And he's standing with like his hands on his hips. Like an old man. And I thought, and then it happened a couple of episodes where he was now in charge. But their idea of him like being brought forward as a character was to give him a tan and his hair up. And he would stand with his hands on his hips.
He's missing a finger.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. And if you notice it, then you will always notice it. Like, look, next time you see him, like, look, and then you will never be able to not notice it.
I banged a chick with a missing finger once. And
God.
It put me off. It put me off. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. It's a bit obvious who it would be when she'll know. But I'm not.
Does she listen to the show?
No, I'm hoping not. Now or in the future. But,
What's going on? What's going on?
But
with the
that's
finger?
my
Come on,
fault.
give
That's
it
mine.
up.
It's not her. It just threw me mentally. It's like I was looking at her, but all I could see was the finger. So then I couldn't.
That's what I mean. Once you notice something like that,
and
like,
I'm
you
the
just
bad guy here, so it's shameful. That's sort of pathetic.
The episode in question that we're talking about, I mean, it's sort of one of these things of, I would say don't watch it, because it's a waste of 45 minutes of your
It's not a very good
life.
episode, that's the thing, yeah. It's not even interesting, but
It should just go in the archives of sort of the racial museum of like as an example of the ignorance. Put it, hold on to it and just put it in a sort of like racist museum.
What I'm saying, like Tintin in the Congo, like that is mad. If you've read that is absolutely mental. Even for the 40s, whatever, 50s, it's mental.
Yeah, the episode is called Code of Honor. It was released in 1987.
I might, if I'm really pissed off or overworked one day and I want to get my mind away from something, I might put that on just to sort of snap. What's it called?
You'll just sit there, Code of Honor.
I feel I should watch it as a historical document, just so I've got a reference to the way the world was.
Open mouthed.
I'm trying to think. What did they do with Carry On Up the Jungle? Did they? How were they? I'm trying to think of the. Did they do the same sort of thing with Frankie Howard and all that?
Yeah.
When they went to Carry On Up the Jungle, do you not see that one?
I can't remember that one.
I remember they were in a boiling pot, so I'm assuming that's
they
why.
were, yeah.
So we're already on shaky ground, but I can't remember the rest of it.
And the one with the glasses
Tarzan was white.
Yeah, it was the Fey one with the glasses. You know. He was
my God,
head
it's
of the
the
tribe.
Missus.
He was like, oh hello, yeah, oh hello.
Yeah, you go,
guys.
oh my
Hello,
God, it's the
yeah,
missus.
Oh dear, oh no.
Where have you been? Oh, I think there was a few sort of like white people that were sort of sprayed to bees, like from the jungle. Now I think
Okay. Breakfast with Tiffany. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
God.
Sorry. Yeah. What's his name? Mickey Rooney. He plays a Chinaman.
Oh no. So what they
but,
do, just sellotape his eyes down like something.
Yes, spray tanned him and with the teeth, and flied lice, just the worst. Like
the teeth thing, I don't know where that came from. Why is that an Asian thing? Teeth.
I don't know, to be honest.
They were just created a caricature in the 50s, I assume.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't really know why
goofy.
there's the whole thing about Chinese, and I think this whole idea that Chinese, Japanese, the Asians, East Asians, I suppose, also have this big overbite.
Yeah. Because I see that in lots of comics, like
oh really?
Captain America comics in the 40s always portrayed Asian people in this very kind of like grotesque way.
So it's just It's just an invented.
And they did even in the 60s. I mean, there's Iron Man. I think the first issue of Iron Man he goes to Vietnam. Well, he's initially in Vietnam, and that's where he has to create the suit. And the way they portray these Viet Cong soldiers is, you're like, is this the 30s? Like, what the fuck? This is like 64 or 65.
When I first saw the Iron Man film, I'm not being funny. I'm telling you that when I first saw the Iron Man film, I thought, who's the Iron Man actor?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be like a first gay character. Because he was that metrosexual, he was always sort of like slightly au fait and being sarcastic, and I thought, is he supposed to be like? Is this like he's trying to be cool, like he's a gay character? And then he had the little beard, and it was only to like the third Iron Man film. I thought,
nothing wrong with
he's
having a beard.
No, but he had that.
So him shagging all the women in the film didn't.
No, but I thought bisexual, maybe. I thought that, but they're trying to do the cool gay thing. Because he just came across as like a campy figure, like my little beards and my nice shirts, and he's like always been like that. He had that gay. I just could see him in Soho at night with his shirts and his like beard. So I thought he was like they were trying to be like a cool gay character, but obviously he's not.
No, I don't.
But I didn't buy it as like this womanizer. Same with what was it? Three men and a woman and a baby or something.
Three men and a baby.
Charlie Heston or something.
Ted Danson.
No, Charlie something. Charles Heston. No, I'm thinking Charles Heston.
I think you must be thinking of Ted Danson because you've got Ted Danson,
no, it's
Steve
not that.
Guttenberg,
the guy
and Tom
that was doing
Selleck.
all the drugs.
Oh, yeah.
No, not the film, the TV show, the comedy.
Oh, 2.5 Men.
That's it. Yeah. What
Oh,
did I say?
Right, Charlie Sheen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no
But
baby.
Charlie Sheen is.
Yeah, but when I
Shag
watch
Monster.
that, he doesn't come across as a woman. He comes across as sort of like a effeminate male. He just every time he kissed somebody, his hands were like on the shoulder. I was like, you never don't see anything. So I thought, is he? Well, anyway.
Charlie, there's awful accusations about Charlie Sheen as well.
Is Kerem still there? Was he? Oh, I thought he might have switched over to Captain. Sorry. No, it's definitely Charlie Sheen. I like his dad.
John Cryer.
No, I'm confused.
No,
myself.
sorry, Charlie Sheen's dad,
Yeah, what was his name?
Martin Sheen.
Yeah,
Martin
he's good.
Sheen,
I
yeah.
like him. I've heard some interviews with him. He sounds like a level-headed guy.
He's a nice guy. He's really strict Catholic and stuff.
Oh, really?
Now anyway.
Oh, right,
like,
okay.
but
you
like-
mean Ramon Estevez?
Yeah.
Well, it's always that they get to. I've said this before. These people, they get to 50 and suddenly they become spiritual all of a sudden. Firstly, they don't know what the word means.
No, I think Martin.
They do. They get
Martin
to
Sheen.
feel.
No, Martin Sheen's always been quite strictly Catholic.
I'll
I
give him a
believe.
pass.
Yes, he has.
He was.
They have
I mean,
been
he was.
like him.
He went for a bout of alcoholism and drug abuse, but I think that's still.
But I
I
think
think he's a bit Catholic. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
preclude
I
you
don't-
from
I'm not entirely sure it says anything in the Bible about don't mainline heroin.
about coke. No, it doesn't specifically. No.
wasn't it? Who was the guy that did the American comedy with all the tools and cars? That and he was-
Tom Allen.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. Sorry, I beg your
Yeah,
Home
and he got
Improvement,
done
yeah.
for drug smuggling, didn't he? He went to jail for drug smuggling.
Drug trafficking. He was.
Yeah.
I think it was. He was like basically a wholesaler. He was middle. He was selling like keys. and stuff.
His
Well, he was.
his
he was
mugshot is
sort of
great.
middle level. He was mid-level dealer. I think. He was selling like kilos or half kilos of like shit.
I like the way he went to the drug slang, the keys. I was thinking, I don't know what you're talking about, Charles. Andrew has no one. Keys, you got to be more specific.
We'll have to ask Leo.
Yeah.
But Tim Allen's mugshot is quite glorious. It's him with a great big tash.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
got like a big Tom Selleck porn tash. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like it. Yeah, he looks like
That
he'd
does
be
not
in
look
some-
like it would suit him. That does not feel like that would suit his face. He's got quite a pale.
I'll
It
see
was
if
the
I can find-
'80s.
I mean,
you know.
the problem with you Google Tim Allen mugshot and you come up with quite a few options. I'll see if I can
They
share
should
it.
definitely bring back the moustache, the sort of.
Mm.
If I mean, for charity, is there any sort of charity days coming up? Well, Andrew
Yeah.
would be willing
Oh,
to
we have-
shave off.
You have Movember.
Oh, that's ages away. Would you go for the thingy?
Well, you say that we'll probably still be
Come
in lockdown.
on, you've got to do it. Yeah, oh, no, you've got to. Do not touch your beard. I want to get that sort of like 1980s gangster.
I
look with
wasn't planning to unless
Thing is, like the hipsters are ruining it. Because I would do it for a joke, like ironically, just have like a big one. But like the hipsters have just fucking
still
ruined
talking
it,
about
so-
moustaches, right?
it. Oh God, pathetic.
Oh, you sniggered first.
This is a free podcast. We'd like to remind you this podcast is free. You have not.
I've
been
just
charged.
I've just sent the picture of Tim Allen and his glorious tash.
Oh, okay. So how's everybody getting on with like their? Oh, do you know what? I'm getting really pissed off actually. Right, there's two things. Have you watched Bill Maher, his show?
No, I
Well,
know
anyway.
the show. Yeah, I know,
the
I've seen it on-
American comedian man.
Yeah. So he's
I
now.
find him insufferable, to be honest.
He's a bit odd. He's a bit Marmite. Like he's sometimes you like him, sometimes you think, oh, you bloody idiot. But
He's kind of funny, but he's really smarmy, and it just
well, a lot of these Hollywood type, they're struggling with like not being in the limelight. So he's carried on with his show, right, which is an interview-based show and a stand-up. He does a stand-up at the front end and the back end.
the chat show, proper chat
Yeah.
show format. Yeah.
But they're carrying on with the show where he does the stand-up routine from his garden with a fake laughter track, and he does like you can see he's doing the pauses, and he's doing the smiles and the hand gestures, and then it cuts in with like the fake laugh, and you think you're stood in your garden. This is really sad. Like it's not even done well. It's done badly.
With your wife, like probably with
Yeah.
the canned laughter button, just going laugh.
And he
laugh.
does it at the end where he does the thing where he says stuff and brings up images, like so don't do a Trump, and then here's an orangutan, but then he has to keep pausing for the fake laugh, and it's like soul destroying to watch. I've watched one of them, and then I watched it one again, and I thought I can't watch this. This is so embarrassing. But it's that thing of like, why don't you just stop? Why do you still have to be seen? Like, why don't you just say, look, the show, that this doesn't work? How can you allow that on a major...
Yeah, they could do reruns, couldn't they, or something?
Yeah,
I
how
suppose
could
if it's topical.
Stand there with a fake laughter track every time you stop talking. Like, you have to do a stand-up routine for somebody that's not there. It's so odd. But, I two things that really got to me the last year. One was I had to drop a lot of podcasts I like because of the word like became so ubiquitous that I couldn't even listen to them anymore. It got to the point where there was a like this and a like that, and then I've watched over the last year.
What don't you like about like?
It's
like, why don't you tell me what it is?
Yeah, and I've watched it get worse and worse, and
I'm
like
guilty
Star
of that,
Trek.
to be fair. I am guilty of that.
No, I've given up on the fact of people using it, even people using it a little bit too much. Language has just gone that way. But the problem was it should always stop at a certain level, like with professionalism or the BBC or something like that. So I was listening to some journalism programs and a couple of science podcasts, and I watched the like button creep in. Like with Star Trek, where I was trying to hold on for the like creeped in more and more and more. And it got so bad that I dropped 3 podcasts because they are American podcasts, and I couldn't listen to them anymore because all I could hear was the word like after a while. I couldn't focus on what they were talking about. I was watching an online news program, and there were 3 hosts. Each one of them said like 3 times in the first sentence. And then when the fourth person said, the third person said something again, he said like 3 times in a row without saying anything. And I literally turned it off and I unsubscribed at that point.
What, he went like?
He went like, and I'm thinking that
Was
done.
he glitching?
No, but there was 3 hosts, and each one of them used the word like in one sentence. And then it went on to the next. There was 2 women. Then it went to the other woman. She said like 3 times the first sentence. Then it went on to a guy who said like 3 times. And I was thinking, have I just had a hit on the head and I'm like concussed? And then when he's paused and he went like, and I'm thinking, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Is there something wrong with the
Fucking
internet
done.
connection? You're
Yeah,
like,
I'm
what
done.
the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's frozen.
Yeah.
I'm done. And it's so now that's dropped. The like thing has it's become so bad that I've had to sort of having a mass cull of things that are my inputs. So they're gone, and now there's a new like, which is like pushing me away from people that the few podcasts that I do listen to. It's people complaining about being stuck indoors, like that are media types that I listen to, and they're saying it's like it feels like an imprisonment, like these certain words and like struggling.
Well, sat in their mansion as well, surrounded by all their stuff.
And they're not all, but it's just fully grown men saying how they're struggling to handle. And I think it made it worse because the last couple of weeks I was watching stuff about Rome and the World War II and people that struggled. So then when this came along, it was like just the 2 worlds collided. And I'm going, these are like children. And I'm getting to that point where I'm getting so sick of it. It was like the feeling when I really had just been out.
He said like.
I know. I'm
no,
acutely
you
aware
can
of
use
it
the word
now.
like. I said it's normal. Like that's fine. I gave up on that a couple of years ago when it started. Because what happens is people. I've noticed it again with bro. So when the word like came in with like the it girl thing, everyone used to mock it. Like they used to do it as a funny thing. Oh, like oh, she said like that.
Oh,
and
like
then everyone
this
started saying it, and everyone used to laugh at the word bro and hey bro, like he's a bro. And now everyone uses the word bro. I think so. You're laughing at people. The people used to laugh at these words are the people that are now saying it. So that's why I have to cull it and I have to get rid of it out of my ears so I don't start on it. But anyway, so all these people have started complaining about being indoors, and it's getting to the point where. So all my life I thought, right, I'm at the bottom of the pile. I'm the idiot. I don't know nothing. I can't do school, family, lived on the streets, ashamed of everything. And when then in my, sort of late 20s, I thought, let me sort myself out. And then I went from there. I didn't start learning there because then I went into a hole of doing the Vialucci thing. So I just went into my own little world of doing that, and that's all that mattered. So then I did that for about 10 years. But about 8 years in, when I came out of it and I started to think, right, now I've got to think like a normal person. And it was just like I'd been in a haze for 35 years of just like a hole. And when I came out and I started to sort of talk to people like just having a laugh, I still at that age thought like the higher up the ladder you went, the posher you were, the nicer you were, the more honest you were, and at the bottom, because that's all the references I'd had. Like we're at the bottom because we're shit and we're stupid. And when I realised that oh, people are thieves and liars, like something a child would learn. It frustrated me for about 2 years. I was so stressed, like shit. I don't know what the rules are now. I thought that it just went up like a lift. That's you got posher and nicer, and you had more money, and things got more honest. And it's happening again when I'm thinking, you want to respect people, and I'm holding on to people I want to respect. But when they're complaining about being stuck in their house watching Netflix, like, it was, who's the other comedian? Jay Leno? He was saying, people are saying, like, it's a war on coronavirus and all that. And he said, usually when you go to war, you end up slimmer. He said, why is it if we're going to war, we're all turning up fatter?
Yeah.
He said, we're complaining about not doing anything. Like, that's a struggle. Yeah. So
this is like a nice little holiday, you know? It hasn't been
I'm going
hard.
through this other level now of like thinking, fucking hell, people are like children. It's like my brain trying to realise these people that you see on TV and respect, and people that are famous and money, they're fucking children. Like, they're at the bottom. Like, they're not to be lauded. They're not to be respected. They're fucking pathetic. A lot of people that have got to places where I would have, he's ambitious and he's done that. You go, no, they're not ambitious. They're not hard work. It's nothing to do with that. It's the reason they've got places is their insecurity that's driven them. It's that I have to keep going to be seen. I have to be going to be seen. It's nothing to be admired. It's pathetic. And it's only when they get to these positions, these actors or whoever, and now you think, oh, they must be amazing people. And now they're complaining because they've got to be around their family, or they haven't been out the house for 3 days. And you go, the Chris Cuomo on the CNN, is it CNN or MSNBC?
Who? Sorry,
the news reporter, Chris Cuomo, the brother of the new.
Yeah. What is he?
What's he on?
Is it CNN?
CNN, I think. Yeah. And he's doing this show. Who I like. I fucking really respected him as a journalist. But he broadcasts from his basement in his multi-million pound. Like, he's got a whole sect of his house that he's had to stay in. And
the corner of his sex dungeon, yeah?
No, it's literally a set of stairs, and it's like wide open. It looks like a penthouse at the bottom of it that he's had to stay down. And I really respect him. I'm telling you now, I respect him as a journalist as well. But then just to watch his videos every day of like the struggle to not see my wife, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm just going to pull the plug.
Why can't he see his wife?
Because he had the virus, but it's like he's not in a horrendous way. He's okay, and he's struggling. But
it's fair enough, isn't it?
But he was doing a podcast. He was doing a live feed to CNN every day, which I thought was important to say like how you're feeling and what's going on. And he's talking to a doctor, but it was the struggle in his face of like, I'm having in this multi-million-pound condo to not see my wife, and it's like, we're on 2 weeks now. And I'm thinking, people are so fucking weak. I'm so sick of it. I am pissed off.
But it's interesting what that says about sort of, he's got all these riches. Pardon me. He's got all these riches. He's got all this, obviously, very successful career. And is he related to Cuomo? Is he related
his brother,
to?
Yeah.
Is the governor
of New York.
For New York, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Who I like.
Really? Okay.
He's actually brother I like. He seems a bit of a no bullshit guy.
Yeah, he's obviously New York has been very afflicted with, particularly hard. Afflicted is playing. It sounds like playing it down. Sorry, but it's very hard hit by the virus and a huge number of deaths.
They've had nearly as many deaths in New York as they have in the whole of the UK, haven't they?
Yeah. Well,
but there's a friction between him and Trump because he's not paying any of Trump's bullshit. So Trump's immediately doesn't like that. So now everything they're sort of left on their own to their own devices.
Yeah.
But
so he's he's obviously very wealthy. Got a presumably very successful career. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how one.
He's one of the most important people on news TV in America.
Okay, fine. Lives in this house. Obviously, he's part of a very successful family, so that sort of enriches you.
He's got everything.
Anyway, yes. But you miss your wife. That's the big, ultimately all the rest of that, so it's quite
emphasised on my wife who's upstairs. Yeah, like the kids didn't die. He's not a single mother who's working as a nurse 20 hours a day and can't see the kids and ship the kids.
But my point is that yeah, exactly. So actually, it's quite interesting that what really matters to him is that many people. There was good old Cardi B, the rapper, was moaning that she can't go out. She wants to be outside eating sushi, but she's eating cereal. And you go, okay, so that's your struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much of that is an act.
But it's like the world is being pushing me away. Like I'm having to filter people off one by one just to stay sane. And it's like, even with him, I thought, oh my God, like I've got the news reporters on one side, then I got him on the other. with his how hard it is to miss your wife that's upstairs in your multi-million pound
It's
house.
quite romantic, though, isn't it? No,
But it's
No,
it's
I
just-
think
No.
it's no,
no.
I think it's funny that for some people, this is literally one of the worst things that's ever happened to them in their
yeah.
lives.
And this thing, there was
And
a
then
guy
for me, it's like a holiday, like a little,
Yeah,
little
there was
fun holiday for a month. I'm like, no, it's all right. It's fine.
There was a guy on the radio the other day. He's an American in film. I can't remember what he did, but the three of them were having a conversation about what they need to to be around human. They need the comfort, and they're fully grown men, and they're talking like it's actually a horrendous thing. And all I was thinking is, well, I've fucking lived most of my life like that. I'm not noticing any difference. It's just the roads are quieter. That's it. And this is like, I'm struggling. My physicality is struggling. Well, you're a successful person. But it's this thing of, because you're successful, it means something. It means fuck all. Most success is down to insecurity, the drive, the thing I can't stop, the billionaire thing of like, there's nothing, it's not about being successful or money. There's something inside you that says, I can't stop. It's an insecurity. It's not something to be admired. And you look at like the Richard Branson thing, where the way he's tried to present himself, and then now it's got to this point where his companies are going down. But rather than sell your private fucking island, you want to take money out the government, which is NHS and health. You want them to prop up your company, your billionaire company that is so successful. Why don't you just put your hand in your pocket? So it's like all this bullshit about success and billionaires. It's all crap. It's all insecurity. It's all bullshit. It's all PR. People are fucking pathetic. If you can't put up with this, forget the trenches then. What happens there? What happens if that happens? So you can't put up with being in your house. And it's this constant thing that I keep coming back to. I'm out the loop. I'm ashamed to be in this society. I should be in the 70s fighting for something, willing to die, facing bullets. And I'm in this society where
Look at him going full Tyler Durden.
I don't know what that is.
Our Great Depression is our lives.
But I'm in a society.
Don't read the book; it's rubbish.
I'm
the film is much better, actually.
Yeah,
I'm constantly looking from the future, looking back at us, laughing at us, and saying to them, "I'm fucking ashamed to be in. I shouldn't be here, and I'm stuck here." And
I've said a couple of times though, we're not. When one day, probably fairly soon, I would think, Putin is going to say enough of the games now. Now he's going to reach out, he's going to reach out his iron fist and crush the West. And we're just too fat and too stupid and too tearful and too needy and pathetic.
We're not 2 years in, just a couple of weeks in.
Yeah,
and
but he will eventually,
I can't stand this.
he will say, right, I've bided my time now. I've sown enough dissent through misinformation. I've built up the army
He'll be
enough.
welcomed with open arms, certainly.
Yeah, exactly. And he will stomp his boot on Europe, and including us. I don't mean the EU. I mean Europe.
Yeah.
He will just crush us.
You just realised we're built on matchsticks. Like we're barely holding ourselves up.
Like, I'm sure he's been thinking. He's probably just the patience of the man, not to just think, I'm going to crush these fat, decadent, whiny children. I will.
Well, I think that's
mash them with my boot.
Part of the downfall.
It's going to happen. He's
part
going
of the
to just
downfall
lose
with the
patience.
West, I think, is we like Asia and the Russians, they'll play the long game. Like everything with us is just the politics in the next 4 years and showing off. But they'll sit back and wait 50 years. Do you know what I mean? They'll play like the Chinese culture with the movies and things like that. They'll just sit back and go, let's just do this slowly.
This has been
all about ancestry. Maybe our next generations will, but we'll slowly bring these Americans and English down to their.
I think this has been a setback for China because all the accusations, rightly or wrongly, that they didn't do enough early on, that they didn't do, so they've lost face. As well,
and they weren't transparent,
which is very important to the Chinese culture
and stuff. So
yeah, but to the Chinese identity, the Chinese culture is to not lose face. So this is very embarrassing for them. So this might be this is a bit of a bloody nose, and this might see. But yeah, Russia's just waiting. He's just gonna that iron fist is just gonna come and bam, and we're fucked.
Well, I'm
Everyone will
far
just be
off.
taking selfies as the tanks roll up.
All
fucking
that.
hill.
Yeah, just look, they're shooting us. Let me get this on camera.
Yeah, this is me looking sad at the mass executions.
Oh,
And
God, you know what?
I for one welcome our Russian overlords. I just think,
there was
just
some
put me in a fucking grey jumpsuit and set me to work. I don't.
No,
know.
I mean, you might snap and go, do you know what? I'm joining you lot because I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to go where there's fucking adults. I don't care you do bad things. I'm sick to fucking death. I'm in a freak show and in a fucking circus tent with like fucking weirdos. This whole society around me is poison, so I'm getting out.
Right, here we go. Come on, guys. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I do like that national anthem. It is quite good. It's very rousing.
It's catchy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to live in a cave and just go just tap out completely. So I'm sick to fuck. I don't know how to relate to anybody.
Yeah,
anymore.
but
Don't
would
know
you
what
get
this
tired?
is.
Would you be able to watch Tiger King in your in the cave?
Yeah,
That's
just
the
get
only thing.
a feed of it, Netflix feed, until I see that
Still
one
get
advert.
Wi-Fi, yeah?
If
As long as
I
you got
see-
Wi-Fi, you'll be all right.
I'm just waiting for that one advert to pop up on Netflix, and then I'll snap.
And
That'll
of
be the
course,
last-
in Russia,
that's the
it'll
last
be
thing
called-
that's propping me up. There's the last bit of thing that you can rely on. If that goes 5-second advert, then I know what's coming 5 years down the line. You're basically the ITV. So one advert pops up Netflix, I'm done. Like YouTube, 2 second. I don't care if I can skip it. The second that one little advert pops up, I'm done.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe, like, when I used to go around my mates' houses when I was really young, and like they had Sky and stuff, and like, you know, cable TV and shit, and, satellite TV. I was always just amazed. I was like, it's got adverts on it? I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's like you've got to pay for these channels and you've got to sit through all these adverts. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, you know,
yeah, I
like
think that's unreasonable. Yeah,
that
if you're
Emperor has
paying.
new clothes thing, you could say it with the way TV has been. If you just completely refresh, you'd never seen a TV or movie, anything like that, and you said, right, these films and shows have made, and the director and the lighting and everything is so specific and emotional, and then in between there's like a Bleach advert. You'd go, what are you fucking talking about? Why would you stick that in? How can that be a media? That type of media type that you'd have this thing and then jam in the middle of it like bleach and soap powder advert. Are
Yum,
you
yum, yum,
fucking
yum, yum.
insane?
Yeah,
that would
delicious
never
bleach.
happen. That would
Yeah.
never, ever, 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 ever happen. You go, no, that's the way it is normally. You go, are you fucking insane? Why would you do that? It's
I
like
was
a piece
thinking
of
that with the soap
artwork with the child's like Mona Lisa with the like fucking. And here's a bit of graffiti in the middle to look at. No, get rid of. That's nothing to do with what I'm looking at. Why are you ruining this thing?
Yeah,
So,
it's the soap opera thing, isn't it? It's like, Bev, I've got to tell you, I've got cancer. Cut to the advert.
Volvo.
Potato waffles, they're
Yeah.
awfully versatile.
Yeah, and
Like,
you go,
I'm
how
not sure
did
this is
get a
kept there.
start? Who was the first person to go, yeah, stick that in the middle of my show. Don't worry about it. Stick
Well,
this
radios,
there."
isn't it? That's where it came from.
fucking
So
Yeah, well, the
insane.
adverts were there. The shows were there to sell the adverts, weren't they? So.
But you go, that is fucking mental to jam that in. But you've all got used to it. Like I said, I feel like, again, I was out of the loop for life for like 30 years, and I've come into it and gone, are you all fucking insane? How did you all allow that to happen? I'm not watching a film with a fucking movie adverts in the middle. No fucking way. I've never done it. I'm never going to do it. I'm not watching it. But yes, I like the BBC because of the lack of adverts. But
Yeah.
I don't get it how that still stayed. I don't know how you allowed it to continue for a couple of decades. So I don't know how it's still around, that model
Well,
of adverts.
of advert free or not advert?
No, putting adverts in things still. How's that still around? It makes no sense.
Well, how do you pay for the programs?
Yeah.
I think we
'Cause
should just.
obviously-
I say let's just have on BBC, Netflix, and get rid of everything else. The world would be more mentally healthy. Just have that. They have the journalism of the BBC, and you can have Netflix for your movies and your entertainment. Get rid of everything else. Get rid of everything else.
Yeah, but you got to have something else, otherwise, because the BBC basically it can't do any right. Because if they run a piece that seems to be anti-Tory, then they're typical metropolitan elite
Well,
Corbynista,
that's the other thing.
blah
We're
blah
not having
blah.
any
And then if
news.
they say something about Corbyn, it's because they're government
Yeah, well,
shills. And you
well,
go,
we're not
well, which
doing
is
that.
it then? They can't be both.
Yeah.
We're not having that. You can have one channel, and it's got the same news on that channel, and they can have 5 minutes each side. Can have 5 minutes. That's your lot. We're not having this. You can only watch that channel, or you go and watch that channel. No, you're getting one channel that everybody's watching, so you're all going to see the same fucking thing. So we're going to have Fox and all that. You can stick it on all one channel, and if you're going to have to watch them, we're going to shift the times around, so you can't just watch it at a certain time. You have to watch NBC. Oh, actually, I'm still talking like it's 2 months ago. It's all bollocks. They're all CNN. They're all crap now. Kerem. Okay. I think Kerem's having his dinner.
Oh, we got an echo. Hello?
We're getting a. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know if he was
but
talking to us.
we
Oh,
started
Charles, we didn't find out why you disappeared.
Oh no!
We
nothing,
told the
nothing.
listeners it's explosive diarrhea.
The more nothing it is, the more
just go with
important it
that.
is.
There's less embarrassing.
Explosive diarrhea. So when I write the description for today's episode,
Hashtag
that's
belly
what
Try
I'm
and
in
spell diarrhea properly.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the.
Oh, gotta go. Right, let's no more politics. Let's the fucking.
All right.
It's not going to change. That's why we don't talk. It's not going to change. So stop talking about politics. It's not going to change. You're getting fucked. You start pulling people out of buildings or nothing. Forget your vote. I'm not interested. Anyway.
Okay.
So what else? What have we been up to then? Theo?
I saw the worst film that I've ever seen a couple of days ago.
Go on.
It's called, I wrote down the name, it's called 964 Pinocchio.
964 Pinocchio. Okay.
It
What
is-
type of film is it?
Why is it
Modern,
called
old,
964?
black and white?
It's difficult to describe it as a film because I had to look up what the fuck happened. It is a Japanese,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
it is a
God.
low budget art house Japanese
Hentai?
splatter house film. So it's a
Christ.
sort of extreme kind of horror film thing.
Is the Pinocchio reference to the actual Pinocchio? Or does it mean something else?
It's about a
Lies.
former. I had to look this up because I had no idea what the fuck was going on. They literally has about 20 lines of dialogue in the whole thing. It's about a sex robot who
of course.
gets eventually like thrown away because he's no use anymore, and then this homeless lady finds him and then tries to like help him. This involves them running through the streets and screaming for about 20 minutes. Also involves a scene of her walking through the subway, then being sick for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then eating the sick, and then being sick again.
How did you come across this on YouTube?
I have no, I think it was on YouTube. I
I've
don't know
clicked
why.
Google Images. That was a mistake.
So
So they got for the Pinocchio thing. What was the Steven Spielberg film about the little robot boy? AI.
AI. Yeah.
That was the Pinocchio theme as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
robot.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Had a sex robot in that one as well.
Yes, it did, didn't it? Jude Law, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Here's the Wikipedia entry for 964 Pinocchio. It's not very long. So 964 Pinocchio, also known as Screams of Blasphemy, is a 1991 Japanese cyberpunk film from filmmaker Shozin Fukiai. I'm not sure I've said that correctly. I might have just said this word. It deals with the theme of brain-modified sex slaves as well as mental breakdowns in a hallucinogenic thrill ride. Does that sound about right? Or
Some dude literally running through a street in Tokyo screaming for, honestly, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And also someone shouting the word Pinocchio over and over again for about 15 minutes. I'm not even kidding, for about 15 minutes. I just thought, I was just hoping at some point it would make sense, or it would explain what the fuck was going on. It never did.
What was that?
Yeah.
Have you all seen that Parasite film? I keep meaning getting around to see
No,
that.
yeah,
Everyone keeps talking about it. Is it on? No, it's not on Netflix, is it?
I don't think it is, no.
I'm not sure. I think they did. They've done a digital release. I think even free somewhere. I can't. It's not.
Yeah, it'll be
restaurant.
online somewhere if you look.
I think
Yeah.
it's on Amazon. I think it's on pay thingy on Amazon.
Yeah, I think they've done. But they've brought it forward.
I've seen the first sort of 5 minutes, but it was just so slow. I was like, "Oh, fucking get on with it." I don't know what's happening here. Mind you, saying that, I'm gonna have a go at myself. I shouldn't have said that because I'm about to slag myself off. I saw online like the Twilight Zones, like the American ones.
Yeah.
The new one?
No, the old
new
ones.
one? Oh,
the
okay,
old
right.
ones. With what's his face and the cigarette and the hand
Yeah.
in the pocket. But what they've done is, and this is just modern society. Like we live in an age now where nobody looks past the second line. Forget reading books, and it's just what does Google headline say? Right, there you go, got that information. Well, they've done Twilight Zone and they've cut them down to like 2 minutes. All the episodes. So you just get, there's the thing, he said that, he thought that, there's the end. I thought,
Here's the twist,
you
yeah.
fucking arsehole.
Who's
you
done that?
arsehole. I don't know.
Someone's done that as an exercise, or
Yeah, but like mostly when you Google them, that's what you'll bring up now, the shortened version ones. You go, well, you just ripped out the guts. Oh, well, we don't need talking and all that. Just tell me what happened at the beginning, tell me what happened in the middle, and show me the end bit. That's all I got to see.
Well,
I thought,
it's like here's the setup and then here's the twist.
yeah,
So you're
that's
like,
basically what it is. I thought, oh, okay. And you go, oh, we can't do anything past 10 seconds. Like, it's the fall of society again. I'm not getting involved in that. But you see what I
I'm
mean?
sure
It's all
you said that the
crumbling.
last time you said you weren't getting
But it's
involved
all
in it.
crumbling. Everything's crumbling. The likes, the fucking corona. I've got to be around people, otherwise I'm going to kill myself.
Emojis.
Yeah. Oh my god. There was a news thing, and a guy, when they first come out saying you can't be in the streets and all that, it was about a week ago, and the guy was in, I think it was Leicester Square, and the journalist went up to the guy, a Japanese or Chinese guy, I don't know, and he was doing the selfie video, and he's going, you shouldn't really be out here, and he went, I'm doing Instagram posts, but it was the look on the guy as if like, no, you don't understand. I'm doing an Instagram thing.
It was Oxford Street Tube Station.
Yeah,
and it
that
was at the
rings a bell.
crossroads. It was at
Yeah.
that crossroads. So it's one of the busiest points in London. One of the busiest points probably in the world, to be
And
honest.
the look on his face is like, no, don't you understand? I'm doing an Instagram video. And you're like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god.
I think he said no. He's like, I'm filming something for my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And like they were like, yeah, but you're not supposed to be out. And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah, but this is for YouTube.
Yeah.
I told you though, Putin's coming.
Right, listen, I'm going to snap. I'm not being funny. We've got to talk about something else. We've got to talk about something. What was the episode? That's going to save me. What was that episode of Star Trek?
Code of honor. Like, it's just...
I'm scared.
It's
you
mental.
all just watched
It's
it,
mental,
slap-jawed going, who signed off on this? Who went,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Because originally they were going to be... proper aliens, like I think in the show they're like, a humanoid species that all are basically.
I think the script was very different, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were meant to be something like, I can't remember, but they were meant to be very alien looking, but lived by this strict code. Hence the title. It was inspired by Bushido.
If you haven't seen Star Trek, here's every Star Trek episode. They beam down to a planet. You've got two options. The show will either have a woman there that you've never seen before, who will be falling in love with. She'll wander off. Or you'll have the people in the red coats, the red jumpers. You got them. You'll have a woman you've never seen before, no security, and she'll be a prominent member of the cast. She'll fall in love or something love. And then you'll have the red jumper guys who will get assassinated immediately. You will then have a tribe of somebody turning up with some, there'll be something humanoid. They will be surrounded. They will have their guns and things taken off them. There will be a young guy who wants to kill them, but takes them back to the tribe, and an old man who doesn't want to kill them. There will be a 27-year-old woman somewhere along the line who falls in love with Kirk.
That's quite old for Star Trek, I think.
Yeah. Yes, they're quite old, yeah. But I mean, that's basically every start to every episode.
Well, yeah. They go to a planet. Something's a bit off, and they're like, "Oh, this seems all right," but like something's a bit off with these people. And then they discover, like, I don't know, they're space vampires or Greek gods or like they're holograms.
But wherever they
something.
go back to, there will always be a 27-year-old model. Like for him to kiss, that immediately. Like they've set somebody up for him in every show. And as I said, there'll always be a young guy, a part of the tribe that wants to kill Kirk. I don't believe him. Let's get rid of him. I don't care what he says. And there'll be an old man saying, no, let's not kill him. I feel I feel calm thinking about them. It's pulled me away from the.
I do like the salt
yeah.
monster, the shape-shifting lady who can take your "I am for you."
Oh yeah, and she turned into like a carpet or something, didn't she? When they like,
Charles did make me feel better one night when I sent him something, and he said, well, to be fair, he said this was probably best to watch when you're a kid. And I thought,
I remember
take the
that,
sting out of it. 'Cause I thought, it's my fault for being here. It's like being in a fairground complaining about it. You're fucking too old to be in a fairground.
No, it's not your fault. But I just think that, like, I mean, I have fond memories of it because I watched it when I was about 8 or 9 or something on a small black and white telly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, and so I sort of have fond memories because I'm like, it's a bit hokey, but
Well, the guy,
But if,
I was listening
if
to
I'd
a
have watched it
podcast.
now, like new now, I'd have been like, this is a bit janky, to be honest. You know.
There was a guy listening to one of the few podcasts that I'm still listening to. These guys from Milwaukee, and they said even like back then when we watched it, we just had a couple of spliffs and just laughed at the acting. And I thought, okay, so it's always been laughed at. It's more of if I look at it more of a comedy, that takes the sting out of it. I can get through it, but it's the racial stuff. Like I said, when you start seeing people that just been sprayed a different colour and they're going, look, here they are, there's red Indians. Oh, God.
It's always a.
Everyone speaks of American, Californian American, no matter what planet you go onto. Hey. Oh,
Yeah,
and there was
it's-
one bit, he goes to there's another tribe. I think it's a stone tribe. They've got, back then, cavemen, something like that. And they're speaking perfect English, obviously, and they're talking, and then but they don't feel love, right? And he's going, so love, and he's like, love? What is this word you speak of? He goes,
What
well,
is
hang on,
love?
he's just been talking to you for 5 minutes in American. Well, there's one word you've never heard of before. You could have a full-on conversation, but he says love. What is this love? What is this? Well, you're fucking
this love
American.
you speak of?
Yeah, we've been talking for 10 minutes. How can you not understand one word? But anyway, so I'm going to give that Code of Honor a watch. And again, just as a historical document.
I'm quite looking forward to getting the
I'm going
text
to put
from
my
this
copy of
one.
Malcolm X next to
It's
it.
it's first series, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really.
I'm not
I think
watching
it's like
past the
it's like 3 or 4 episodes in. And
Yeah, I think yeah.
I saw some of the latest series. I can't watch them. I need that. I need that car crash of what I'm watching.
Well, the
for
first series,
time.
I would say the first series, and certainly the first series of Star Trek is quite car crashy in places.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And
it's a
two.
tough sit. It's a tough sit that first half.
But it's a
series and
shame
half.
because every once in a while there's like a really good episode, and you're like, oh, okay, here we are. We've hit our stride, and then the next episode is dog shit, and you're like, okay, we're still a work in progress. Fair enough.
It's when he doesn't have a beard. As soon as
Yeah.
as soon as Riker gets a beard, like all of a sudden, like that the writing team gets better or something, and like
It's because
yeah,
they
just
went,
suddenly-
good
What
God,
annoys me-
that man's so handsome, we must write better scripts for him.
The Doctor in the first series. What's his name?
McCoy.
Yeah. Have you ever met a more pissed off Doctor? He's never happy. He's always fucking aggressive.
the point, yeah.
Basically, if you did believe in like equality, he's racist against Spock. You people, green blood, you
You
monster,
green-blooded
this-
son of a bitch.
You go, you and your people, you down, and thinking, well, if that was a thing, if that was another race, you're basically like hateful against the race. But it's just everything's fucking angry, pissed up. Fucking, why are we doing this? Don't fucking. I was thinking, this is not a happy fucking crew of people. But yeah, I particularly liked when they spray tanned the engineer and gave him a big hairstyle and suddenly become a problem. But because I could just see in one episode his agent's gone, right, we've got to put you forward here. We're not having any of this anymore. It's silly.
Or probably the producers, they were like, okay, fine. If you want the Canadian guy who's pretending to be Scottish to be
Irish.
scream
He's
more.
Canadian Irish, like
Is he?
pretending
Oh,
to be
okay.
Scottish.
Yeah, I only found out the other day. I didn't know he wasn't Scottish. I thought it's a good accent he puts on. I mean, it's a cliched
Sometimes.
accent.
Sometimes.
It's like when there's an Irish guy popped up and there was just like flute music and he was drunk. And I was like, oh, there we go.
That's I've forgotten his name now, but he pops up a couple of times.
Oh,
But
does he
everyone,
really? Okay.
but never like very close together. He's like, I can't remember. He's like Ensign O'Malley or something like that. He's just got
Oh, to be sure.
yeah, Ensign Cormac Murphy Muck O Irish or something like that. Is his name.
Yeah, Murphy McPotato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, It's just like, and he's talking about kissing the Blarney Stone and drinking whiskey, and he's singing all the time, isn't he? You're just like,
Yeah.
oh
the
no.
He's
music-
vaguely drunk and singing. Yeah, he's just like,
I mean, that's
okay,
the-
right.
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah,
a good thing about Trek. It made stereotypes of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, they got the Irish, they had the flute, they got the drums for the Africans, they had the drums in the background. Oh, God, right. Anything else going on? Let's sort of end it there before we go. We're on to about 10 lawsuits. What's going on, Andrew? Something good must be happening. Are you getting any work with Disney or wherever it is you work for?
Disney, yes,
Who's the
yes. I've got
Discovery?
Iron Man 4 is coming out soon. Discovery, no, because it's all sort of because all the sports is shut down, so they don't need the scummy freelancers like me. But there's still things might be coming back, in which case we'll be back there. So just waiting for that to come in. Otherwise, just working on some. So I was writing a. I mean, this is kind of again the whole. Oh, this is the worst thing that's happened to me. It was really annoying because worked on a script and it's been shot. Luckily they finished the whole thing just before lockdown. I don't know if they'll need to do, because often, you know, once you start assembling it all in post-production, you go, oh shit, now because we cut this thing earlier that we thought, oh, we don't need that, now it doesn't make sense that this happened, etc. And because people improv bits and bobs and things always get changed, so maybe there's reshoots. Anyhow, the executive producer was so happy with how it all went that they sort of greenlit essentially a slate. They're like, right, we're going to have the sequel to this film, we're going to have a spin-off for that, and then we're going to do something that's totally standalone but all with all of you. So it was like, awesome, this is going to keep us busy for, you know, the next 5 years or something like that. And then it was like, right, lockdown. I was like, fuck, like that.
What was that then? What
so that was going to this is a sort of very B movie kind of alien invasion horror type thing.
Nice.
And then I mean, the 10 people. It's not trying to be anything other than what it is, which is little monsters land from space, eat everyone, and then a few people hide out in surrounded in a house basically, and have to fight them off.
Yeah, I'm for that. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's very B movie. It's not no budget, but it's very low. I think it's in the hundreds of thousands. So for an independent British film, that's quite a big budget. But it's not. I was thinking, oh god, it's probably going to be like, I'm writing like, and then the spaceship crashes, and it's like, we got 10 grand, so got that fucking out. I mean, there was some stuff like that had to be. They were like, that's too expensive. Even we got the money, but we're having to pay, locations, paying.
How does that work then? When you if you're doing a low budget thing, when do the writers get involved? Because you have to go, look, we haven't got the money to have a UFO sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for, because everything
but if
is
you get a
different.
script presented to you, is it like a value placed on how much we've got to spend it? Or
Well, this this was in a kind of very abbreviated history. So essentially, the people had made a film. Made sort of low budget zombie films, gangster, very, very broadly, mostly horror. And then they make back their money on DVD, they'll do one day in the cinema, and then it's straight to Tesco DVD sales and all that kind of stuff, and VOD. So, there's a lot of the British film industry beyond what we see normally, which is like, oh, this film starring Judi Dench as blah, 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 and here's a rom-com and all that kind of the 5 big tentpole films. But most of the British film industry is, tens of thousands of pounds, £100,000 tops. It goes in the cinema for one day, and then it's straight to DVD. And so that's what these guys kind of did anyway, but possibly at the very low budget end of that. And I worked with them on a few other things, all done on a promise and a prayer and all this kind of stuff. But they've kept me on, which is very nice. And they said, look, we're in talks with this guy who wants to finance this film, this thing that we've pitched to him. Would you want to write the script? So it was kind of a bit, so they pitched the idea to him. He was interested, said, okay, but I want to see, of course, I want to see a finished script, or even at least a first draft, because what am I signing off on?
Yeah.
So then I had to write the script, and it was probably kind of more than budget they were going to get, but it had to make it exciting for someone to read and go, yeah, this sounds cool. And then it kind of gets reverse engineered, and we go, great, we've signed off on the script, but we need to cut this out. So
that's where the rewrites come in, really.
Yeah. So there was a bit more of how the aliens got to Earth. I mean, not much more, but it was just like, well, that's a CGI effect that's going to cost however much.
Can we cut out the White House to be destroyed?
It was. Yeah, I mean, it was only sort of exterior shot, but it would be CGI because, and then there was some shape shifting stuff with the aliens going. It was like, no, we can't.
Yeah.
Again, that's an effect. That's an effect shot that costs a butt ton to look good. Obviously, you can do the that kind of morph effect where you basically take the 2 images and kind of a computer stop, but that always looks shit. That's fine for that's fine for 90s TV, but if you want if we do want to put this on in the cinema, even if it's just for 10 cinemas for a week or whatever.
You got any remote work happening, Charles?
I'm working on a few things. I've got a few things in the pipeline, a couple of projects.
Where are you? Your mum's?
Yeah.
Did you bring a stack of comic books, or have you got your comic books
I've got
there?
a bunch here. I already got a bunch.
Okay, so you're okay.
You reread it?
Yeah. What was I reading? I was reading Shakara, which was really cool.
What's that?
It's about this alien dude whose civilization got wiped out because they were too benevolent and cool. So he just goes around and murders everyone. And then he says one word, Shakara.
Okay.
So it's a thing based
does that mean like die or something?
No, it's just his name or the culture's name. It's pretty cool. The art's really cool, basically. That's the major.
Do you read books a lot?
Sometimes. That was very accusatory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you read books?
Yeah, there wasn't sarcasm behind that. I was thinking, if you read comic books, do you then not read books?
I have an awful lot of
because your brain sort of reconfigures to whatever you're doing a lot of. No?
I just got a lot of comics to read because I just buy a lot of crap. So I have a lot of stuff that I do need to read.
I think I've said this to you before, but you should. There's a book. It's on audio book form as well. The Seven Eves about the end of the world. Have you heard it?
Okay. No.
And it took like 10 years to write because the guy went so deep into the science of like what would actually happen. And it starts off. It doesn't explain how, but it's basically the moon has broken into bits, and now it's heading towards Earth. And we've got like 2 years. That's it. And the whole science from then on is like, what the fuck do we do now? And I won't spoil what Seven Eves is, but yeah, it's basically, look, this is happening now. It's coming towards the Earth. The Earth is over. Now, what the fuck do we do? We've got like 18 months to get off of here. And they follow like a guy who is who's the go-to PR scientist in America, the black fella.
Neil
deGrasse
that's
Tyson,
one, yeah.
He's basically a character.
I don't know
in
if
it.
we actually said the name. Kerem said to us, but I don't know if we repeated it. So Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, but basically plays out with him. It plays out with the politics of America and what happened and how do we get people off the face of the earth and what happens. And then it skips forward like 10,000 years of like what actually happened. But it goes into what happens when we're in space, like, and how many people and how they get them off there and the news of how we handle this. And then they actually come back to the Earth 10,000 years later and find some people survived. So, yeah, so but it's really interesting, just the science of it all. And they never explain how the moon happens, which I think is fine. They just go, the first chapter is, look, the moon is broken and it's fucking heading towards Earth. We've got 18 months. Yeah, it works.
It's like you don't need to think about zombies. Just go, okay, there's zombies, cool. Or there's magic. He's a wizard. This guy's got magic. Okay, I get it. Fine. Yeah.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You go. He's a vampire. Fine. You get the rules of the vampire. It's fine.
I've never seen any of the Harry Potters. That just seemed a bit too far for an adult. That seemed too much.
You know what? I haven't read the books, and I don't think I've even seen all the films.
Could you watch it as in like you could watch The Goonies still if you're an adult? Could you watch? No.
The first couple of films, like the first 2 films, are okay family films,
and
like
then what
family
happens?
Adventure, and then it kind of just, I think it just gets a bit convoluted. The first 2 are quite 2 or 3, quite simple, quite kind of like, okay,
just
we're doing
story.
a thing, and here's the thing.
Story, yeah.
Yeah, and it just starts getting very convoluted and very kind of like, double crossing and melodramatic, and and I'm just like, it starts to lose me after a bit, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Okay. So there you go. So that's another podcast. I hope you've learned a lot.
We've dispatched Harry Potter in 20 seconds there.
We've got about 500 hashtags. All the subject matters we've got.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm writing the description for this one. It's just like we talked about stuff and Charles had the shits.
Have you?
How quick do you think? Just as a parting thought, how quick do you think this is going to be? We're going to be out quarantine then.
I think it's going to be staggered. I think it'll be things like, for example, because we were talking about my nephew, it's his birthday in June. He's 5, and he was saying today, because I had a quick little video chat with the family, and he was saying, can we go to Monkey Madness? It's like some sort of, indoor gymboree type thing. Yeah, it sounds great. It's not monkeys there, actually, sadly. It's like it's all climbing stuff and ball pits and things.
Oh, okay, like go or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And but we were saying, well, if the virus is, because they have told him that's because obviously they have to explain to him, this is why you can't go out, this is why you can't go to school. So his assessment that was the virus was stupid and that Hulk could fix it.
So maybe Bruce Banner, Banner, not the Hulk. Yeah.
So my view is that not necessarily. I mean, I don't wish to dispute my nephew, but I think probably what will happen is that it'll be things like, right, you can have, say, if it's a birthday, whatever, family get together. You can have this many people. It'll be advised, you can have, try not to have gatherings of more than 10, 20 people, family, blah, blah, blah.
It's not going to work. You're giving people ambiguity. They need rules and they need sledgehammers and they need axes.
I think pubs and bars will stay shut for a lot longer. I think restaurants will probably open, but it will be like, right, you have to sit every other table apart, that kind of thing.
It's not going to work.
Of course not. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen.
You say you're in or you're out. They can't do. Look where you can go for 1 hour a day. They just abuse it, so they can't. They have to be treated like animals. I am starting to sound more like a fascist. It's so scary because I'm on the right. I'm on the good side.
More overtly a fascist.
This is how
I
it
don't
starts,
see football. I don't see football coming back for a while, which is
that's all right then. Good. That's good.
Okay, well,
not for me. I need the bloody work.
Yeah, I'm missing it, but yeah.
Who do you
I
think
think it'll
football
be.
coming back.
I think it'll be. I think a lot of sports will be. Sorry, a lot of sports will come back, but they'll all be closed. They'll all be closed
Behind
doors, there'll
closed
be
doors. Yeah.
spectators.
Well, yeah, do
Yeah.
that. That's fine. So there you go. That's another podcast. I hope you've learned a lot. I'm not sure what. I think you've probably watched a sort of mental breakdown more than anything else.
Yeah.
So anybody else got anything exciting happening then? No, got good news. No.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of. I don't know. I've got a few things going on. So yeah,
Yeah, this is the happiest I've seen you since. Again, it might be the time of the day we've caught you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't started drinking yet, mate. So,
What have you been? Andrew, is it too early for one of your alcoholic tipples? We didn't see a clinking glass or anything.
No, it's probably. It's never too early.
What was you drinking last week?
Was it? It was probably Scotch, I think,
okay.
but it might have been.
Well, we had
What
an
was it?
exclusive of Kerem's Turkish coffee that he showed us before the shows. That was a nice.
I'm
little
trying to think
cultural-
what's the Turkish alcoholic
Turkish
beverage?
No, it was the coffee. Oh, what was it? Oh, it's an
Raka.
alcohol.
Oh, that.
Oh, I thought you said it was a
Yeah.
coffee.
Is that like
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that
It's
a
like
little
the
bit like
liqueur or
ouzo?
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love.
Okay.
I love that. Oh,
cast.
I love that too. Kerem for our listeners is Turkish, but I love basically everything. Two cultures, Greece and Turkey, that were spent probably about 2,000 years at war, and you're like, over what, man? Yeah, because it should be called ouzo, not raki, or vice versa, or it should be called, whatever.
Kebabs are ours, not yours.
It should be called Mercedes, not meze. This means war.
Well, again,
Anyway.
it's never the people at the bottom
Oh no, of
who
course
were
not.
warring. It was always people at the top who want flags and rules and battles. It was always the rich making the weak people go to war, the poor people go to war. I think Eugene V. Deb said something similar about the poor always went to fight for the rich, but the rich never fought for the poor, something like that. But anyway, yeah, so there you go. So go and watch 1967 Japanese, what was it called?
964
God, no,
Pinocchio, or don't. In fact, don't
Yeah, I
watch
feel
it.
like
Don't watch it. No.
I would say
no.
I would say do watch Watchmen, the TV show. I've just started that. I'm 2 episodes
TV
in.
show.
Really
Yeah,
good.
it's really good. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good. The best thing I watched last year, I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the story with that? I like the film.
It's
It's
quite.
it's set 30 years after the film. With
Same
completely different
characters?
characters. Well, some characters actually.
What happened to the blue fella, the bald fella?
I'm not going to
That's-
spoil it. But
Yeah, that's a big sort of part of the show. So
Yeah.
it definitely follows on. It's not like it's kind of not necessarily a direct sequel, nor is it a kind of spin-off. It's the same universe. It's what happened next 20 years later. So
Is it
there
still
are-
kind of.
Who's the bloke with the mask who's got the Tiger King voice? Wears a hat, the detective.
Oh, Rorschach.
Oh, Rorschach.
Yeah.
He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's still.
dead,
So
okay.
they do stick with the consequences of what happened in the film. So Rorschach is dead.
Well, the comic more than the film. To be
Yeah,
honest.
sorry, the
It's-
comic.
It's
I beg
Squid
your pardon.
Monster.
Yeah,
rather
it's Squid
than
Monster in the
Squid
comic,
Monster.
but the rather than nuclear bombs, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Manhattan is living on Mars in exile. Rorschach is dead. Ozymandias is retired. Well, he's faked his death, hasn't he? That's not a spoiler
he's just
alert.
kind of
That's
mental, surrounded
yeah.
by clones and stuff. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
Oh yeah, because I was like, are these clones or robots? And
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah. It's
And then
weird,
after
yeah.
what happens to one of them in episode 2, I was like, okay, clones.
Yeah.
Well,
Really interesting story, and it's all about racism and white supremacy and sort of
Oh God.
stuff. So it's a
Right.
contemporary take.
Well, there you go. That's number 76. If we are 76, is that we're right?
Yeah, that is number
We are
76, yeah.
All right. Well then, postponed the North Korea podcast that we were going to do till we find out what's happening with old Kim, Mr. Kim.
Kim Kardashian is going to seize power.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham said that he's definitely dead. He's obviously dead, so he's probably fine.
Did he actually say dead?
Who's Lindsay? Lindsay who?
Lindsey Graham? He's a
Never heard of her. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
him.
All these Lindsays, Kims, I don't know,
Yeah.
male, female, what's the world coming to?
What's it? It's the evangelical, the TV evangelical dude. What's his name? Billy Graham.
Oh,
It's
God,
his son.
just a poisoned. Oh.
He's a senator or a representative. I think it's a senator, actually.
Senator, where would you go? That was a nice.
All right. Well, we'll end the podcast here then.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh God, he's playing another message.
We'll end on this. We'll see you next week.
Look at him trying not to laugh.
Bye.
Bye. We need that Sean Connery.
All those crazy big hats they have.
Yeah.
Those mad big hats.
It's time to play a game of chess against our old adversary, the American
And that'll be
Navy.
it. So thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Cool. Right.